Battlegrounds where legends reign. Aussie gridiron pride unchained. Hear the thunder, feel the flame. Touchdowns and tackles, ain't no shame in the Aussie gridiron game. From Brisbane Light to Perth Soul.
G'day, Aussie Gridiron fans, and welcome to tonight's AGN Playoff Series. We're diving into a massive championship weekend. For those who blinked and missed it, the Eagles just ran riot in the NFC Championship game, while the Chiefs were in a much tighter one with the Bills. We'll break down all the action. We'll see just how the experts picked and recap that. And of course, we've got to check in on the AGN Multi bet, see if we cashed in or crashed out. They call me Matty C. And tonight with me is so many of the great AGN crowd. It's a slightly reduced quorum this week, but, you know, this weird week in between, we'll be back and firing with the entire lineup for Super Bowl week. We haven't skimped on quality today. We're going to start right off with Australia's favourite lineman. It's Nick Cosme. How you going, mate?
Yeah, good. Just the boring week in between. I get to enjoy it a lot more and not have sleepless nights like last year. But a few scratches late for tonight, but I'm still looking forward to a good show.
Can I ask you, does this mean you're actually sleeping better that the Eagles are the NFC champions than you were when the 49ers were NFC champions? Because that's what my takeaway was.
What's the nerves is one thing, but another thing is, I said this, I think, in our group chat not too long ago. Someone has to lose between one of these two teams. You just focus on the loser. That's how it goes.
I think you dug out of that one really well, because I feel like I really did a good job in trapping you there, and you fought through, mate. Well done.
Someone's going to lose, so, you know.
I can't defeat that. You win. Also with me is Australia's voice of gridiron. It's MANJOT Nick. Welcome back, mate.
Yeah, always good to be back, you know, and like you said, voice of Australian gridiron. God, I would want to commentate a game right now over watching this Super Bowl.
I'm itching for it. You know what you and I should do is we should just stream Pastry Press and we'll just commentate it.
Yeah, why not?
We'll just take a 3 hours lunch break at work and we'll just do it. Mate, I'm in for that. Do you know who else is with us? Although not feeling 1,000%, but mate, this time of year, sometimes you just have to pull it up and put the helmet and pads on, even if you're not feeling so great. But it's only the host of G'day Gridiron, Ian Tomlinson. Mate, did I do a good job impersonating you to start this?
Yeah, close enough, Matty. I mean, it's not hard to impersonate me. This week is I liken this week in football terms to like that week between Christmas and New Year, where you're in this weird purgatory and you don't know what day it is, what time of the day, like which way's up. Do I need to go to grandma's house today, or are we just staying home and eating leftover ham? Like, what are we doing? And that's kind of what this whole week right here is leading into Super Bowl. Like, where are we? What the hell are we doing? The Pro Bowl has just become the participation bowl. Like, what the hell is going on around here? So yeah, you know, everyone's sort of looking forward in football terms to after this weekend, and then the real talk starts. But here we are. Here we are indeed. And this is something which I found this is maybe my 24th or 5th season watching the NFL. And this week in between used to feel really long. And then the next week feels like a normal week. But every year that goes by, this week actually kind of feels like nothing. And the 2 weeks actually doesn't actually feel all that long for me anymore. I'm just kind of wondering where you fellas are up to in an evolution of how this 2 weeks works. I know for 49ers boys here, it's just a whole different kettle of fish when your team hasn't been in the championship game and doesn't have the stakes in it. It would feel different. Ian and I haven't had that problem for a few years. But let's start with Nick. How you sort of mentioned about, okay, let's lean into the loser, but this time of year is a general thing. How do you find these 2 weeks sort of get by in a general sense as a fan?
Honestly, the first, I'll divide it into the 2 times in the last 5 years we've made it. The first time we made it, so in 2020, it actually went a lot quicker than I thought, because in amongst that, the biggest thing, at least for me, is, as well as a Lakers fan, was Kobe passing away, because that
Oh,
was
yeah.
literally the like the that took the media by storm for a whole week. So that was that was mental that whole week. And then you sort of just got to the week and it's like, okay, we're actually in this. We've got to this point, and more so that week, I think it's more so you go through so many different scenarios in your head. You're just like, well, what about if this happens? What about if, at the time, what happens if, Kelsey has a big game, at the time, is Jimmy G going to do more than 11 passes this week? Like, you just think of all these different scenarios, and it's like you feel a bit excited but nervous. I think the last one, so last year, it was definitely like, as soon as I saw, because it was actually the first day of where I was working a new job, so I didn't know any results. I did not know any results.
You managed to duck it.
No, I managed to duck it the whole day. It was a stressful day, and it was the only successful time I've been able to do it. And it just got to, I just got home and then started watching the games. And then once Casey got through, we're gonna have to go through this again. And I felt like, not just because we had lived through it before, but just because the Chiefs were on a roll, and they just had this way of winning, and it just knew the game will be close. The defense will keep it in it. But it was good to go through it was. I thought everything was breaking down that first half, and then that Lions game, and then a few things went our way, and then got through. But it honestly feels like it's 2 years. Like that last year, it feels like it's 2 years. It's really 2 weeks. Yeah. It's just like, fuck, can it be Monday? Can it be the Monday off? Let's just do it. Let's just get to it. You've thought of every single scenario. Yeah. It's these bags under my eyes are still from last year. Like, I don't know if you can see it. It's still from fucking last year. Like, thinking of all the scenarios, that's just before the game. That's not even since the game.
I can see why you're sleeping better. I can, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. No stress this year.
I bet. Everything. And yeah, here you go. And it's weight off your shoulders. But Manjot, as a fan of the last, you've been watching since that famous Arizona and Pittsburgh a Super Bowl. That was sort of your first dalliance into Super Bowls live. How do you find the 2 week lead up now that you've done a bunch of them?
Yeah, I mean, 15 years. Oh gosh, that anniversary's coming up as well.
Yeah.
And on Saturday, I believe our time is the anniversary of that game. It's gonna be, I can't believe 16 years of watching this sport. Like, oh man, that first one, like, I didn't know shit about NFL at that time.
That was still the best Super Bowl I've seen, and that was my first too.
It was such a good one.
That was the best. Yeah. Yes, I have to put that one out there. Yeah, definitely my best as well. That was, oh man, Santonio Holmes, James Harrison, Paul Larry Fitzgerald, man. Yeah. Oh, that was a good one. So I didn't feel any
late Larry touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah. Larry was goated. Yeah, but I didn't feel any lead up going into, like, just going into that one, because I literally was watching it like the day before I started school that year. So that was literally the only, like, I just didn't understand anything. And then the next year was, I think I watched a bit of playoff football. So I think during that time I watched like the Saints and the Vikings championship game live. That I remember watching that, and Brett Favre threw that interception just across his body, and yeah, fuck, that was like nothing. And then I was like, all right, Super Bowl next week, turn on my TV, and I was like, all right, what's this? And it was the first time the Pro Bowl was played in the bye week that year. Like, that was the first time. I'm like, all right, I don't know what the hell this is going on. And then I realized, oh shit, the actual Super Bowl's the next week. I didn't realize the Pro Bowl was the Super Bowl at the time. I was a little kid back then, just want to say, so I didn't know shit back then. Yeah. Compared to now. But yeah, I just watched like the first like Pro Bowl like I ever did. So ever since, like, so for many years after that, like, the in-between week has just been me watching the Pro Bowl. Like, I was just and the reasoning behind that was, I know a lot of people just hate the Pro Bowl, which is fair enough. It's a boring ass game. But for me, I was like, all right, it's a boring game, but I have football this week, I have football next week, and then I don't have like any games to watch for 7 months. So I might as well watch the Pro Bowl for 3 hours on a Monday morning, and then go on with the rest of my day.
Story up for the winter.
Yeah, and then like that's it. Like just get out.
Brisbane Broncos and the Kangaroos in the winter, mate. You got plenty of football. That'd be such a sad sack.
God, don't get me started at those two teams being sad sacks over the last few years. But yeah, so basically this like bye week has been Pro Bowl, and then like I discovered like the NFL Honors Show like the night before the Super Bowl as well. Like that was always a good one to watch. Like get a comedian roasting like fucking every NFL player out there. So why not? And yeah, from there, like that's just all my bye week has been. It's just Pro Bowl and NFL honors, like
nice.
The NFL intends it to be. I think as well they have like a few documentaries on TV, like Road to the Super Bowl, Road to Playoffs. Yeah. They show that like as well, like America's Game, that sort of thing. Like I'd watch a few like during time, but yeah, just the lead up to all those Super Bowls as well. Just yeah, it's very different, like experiencing it to like not experiencing it. I do agree with Nick. Like definitely like just I had too many dreams of missing the Super Bowl and like waking up the next day and no one told me what happened. So I had to like watch the Super Bowl and I'd wake up in my dream like before I find out what happened in the Super Bowl. I always have that weird one. That's always the one weird thing about like sleepless nights for me. It's just I swear every team I have in a grand final as well is just the exact same for some reason. Just every single time. Just have that dream. Oh, I hate it. It curses me, that dream.
Hey, Ian, how do you go with the 2-week break? You've been you're probably the most recent addition out of us here tonight who've sort of picked up NFL in recent years. How do you find the 2-week break? Because again, it's not something we're used to in sports over here.
Yeah. Well, the 2018 Super Bowl was the first one I can actually remember watching, which of course was the Eagles win with Nick Foles, and then it just the fascinating scenes that come from all the Eagles fans after that.
Oh my God,
which are very well documented.
Yeah.
The following year was the year that I was sort of really deep into football as a whole. So I was really looking forward to Super Bowl coming out of championship weekend, just for the fact that it was the first time I was going out with some mates to watch the Super Bowl. So, the 2 weeks before I was just like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. So I was really excited about it. It kind of, I guess it dragged on, but it didn't. And then, of course, we got to that 2019 Super Bowl. As we all know, Patriots, Rams, one of the worst Super Bowls ever, 13-3. I'm pretty sure by halftime I just started ordering beer tastings and excess wings, and then we just chatted to a whole bunch of different football fans rather than even watching the game because it was just boring as batshit. So, I don't know. I find it weird, like I said at the top. Now I find it a bit weird just because it just does going into the Pro Bowl, and I get what Pro Bowl is, and I really like the games aspect of it now that they've introduced back in a couple of years ago. That's a bit more interesting. I really wish some of these guys that were selected by Pro Bowls, because it is a fan vote, I wish some of these guys would just make themselves available rather than like the Josh Allens of the world just make himself unavailable because he's lost a championship game. Like, these are the fans that have chosen you to be there. You've got to give back to those people at some point. So just turn up, dude. But yeah, I like that.
Spare us from Russell Wilson.
Yeah, well, that's the other part. But I just that's good. But I don't. There's no real lead up into it. There's nothing to really talk about into that. Yeah, no one really cares. It's fun to watch. Like, you can go, Pro Bowl's on, whatever. Pro Bowl games are on. Oh, look, they're doing all the QB competition, and now they've got that whole long drive competition, that golf drive thing, which is insane. Watching some of these dudes just flog a ball 400 yards is just ridiculous. But there's no real, you can't talk about it moving up to it. So when we're doing things like what we do now, year in, year out, it's kind of like you're in limbo. What do we talk about? Yeah, we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to recap the games from last week. And recap some stuff, but there's nothing really meaty to talk about.
Yeah. What are you going to do? We're going to break down the field goal kicker tic-tac-toe. So,
that's all right.
It's tough to analyze.
I was
Yeah.
really happy that Brad and I had a chat about coaching this week as well. So that was a really good coach talk
That was an
about
excellent
all the
show.
coaching moves. So,
Everyone who hasn't caught that, you have to find that. That is like a quality 75 minutes of time spent speaking to Aussie people, breaking stuff down from an Aussie perspective, and also from a coaching perspective that you just can't get anywhere else. So I implore people to go and find 75 minutes of their life to listen to that.
yeah, so I really loved doing that. That was good, and I'm really glad I got to do that with Brad this year. So there will be probably much more of that as we go on into next season. But yeah, so it is what it is. It's all we've got to do. Let's just talk about some games that just happened and give our thoughts on that, and maybe a bit of Super Bowl stuff, and then we move on to next week where we'll all be back. Hopefully, fingers crossed, and we'll all be talking about Super Bowl. Yeah, like just quietly. A 7-man show was insane to edit at all. That was crazy on the editing side for Matty and I doing show edits. It crashed my laptop several times, and just to save it, I had to get the backup, the G'day Gridiron backup hard drive out to save the file directly to the hard drive and do everything from that, because my laptop was like, no, not having any of this. You don't have enough space for this shit. Which is really weird because I've got a terabyte hard drive in this laptop, and it was just going, not enough room. So,
I handle 7 of us, mate. You know, it's never been done before, and now we know why. So,
7 of us. Me doing all my audio compressions and I'm putting on compressors and changing levels and shit. And it was just like, not doing this.
Gosh, I understand the editing grind as well, being a video editor as well.
Manjot gets it now.
I could not do video editing. I've tried it. There's a reason. There's a whole goddamn reason we've never done a G'day Gridiron like video show at all. And it's because I do not have enough time in my life to video edit anything. Like, it's just crazy. I tried to at the beginning when it was just Manjot and I. But, of course, Manjot and I used to talk forever, and we'd have 3-hour shows just the two of us talking every week. And I was just like, I can't do this. Yeah, I might be able to do it a bit easier now that we just punch a show out and I send it. I don't really care what's going on in the show because we're all professionals these days. We know how to talk. We know how to talk into a microphone now, so we don't have to cut out all the fluff. No one's dropping C-bombs anymore, which was not true.
Say that for my show, mate. There. So you come out of the fantasy, that's when the colour comes out in the language. Not that Brad doesn't bring some colourful language, he brings it in a different way.
It's very true. Brad brings that wholesome southern way.
Yeah.
Butter my biscuits.
I will say, like, so for some behind the scenes context as well, while we're on the topic of editing, I will say, if you've all been wondering what happened to Manjot Night Football, well, I stayed up until 3 a.m. when I did the show in week 5, and I'm like, I'm too scared to do this shit again. So I'm just putting the call out there. Anyone listening, if you all want to help me out with video editing for YouTube, hit me up in the DMs. I'm just gonna put that call out there. Just want to say, if you guys know any good video editors, help us out here.
I tell you right now, man, first item on the list, if we ever get any money out of this, out of our whole group and our podcast group, is a producer, a standalone producer, so that we can just 100%. Do these things and then we can pass it off to somebody else whose job it is to edit all of the video and the content. And it's just like, no, I don't want to handle it. See you later, bud. I got enough work in research and all this shit just to keep you lot on track. So,
oh well, let's keep on track and talk about some games, I guess, Matty.
Segue. Look at a segue, man, John.
Look at that.
Look about a professional right there. You said professional. There it is.
Third host of this network.
How about we talk about an NFC Championship game? What do we do? What if we do that one? Let's jump into that. Let's see. Saquon Barkley's youngest daughter, Jada, had one question for Dad as he told her the family was headed to Philadelphia earlier this year. Does this mean Dad will win now? Well, as Saquon Barkley lay on a football field littered with confetti and cradled his daughter against his chest, the answer was undeniably yes. Saquon Barkley ran for 60 yards for a touchdown on the Philadelphia Eagles' first play, as guys like Jordan Mailata ran down the field after him, yahooing and yipping behind him. He ended up finishing with 118 yards and 3 scores. Jalen Hurts rushed for 3 TDs as well, as the Eagles soared to a massive win over the Commanders, 55-23. The Commanders didn't go down quietly, though. Jaden Daniels threw for 255 yards with 1 touchdown, an interception, unfortunately, but they did fall short in their bid to become, his bid to become the first rookie quarterback to lead his team to the Super Bowl. The Commanders were, unfortunately, Manjot, doomed by 4 turnovers, including a lost fumble by Austin Eckler in the third quarter, when the Commanders were down 34-23, and that really put some of the final nails into the coffin, Manjot.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was tough to come back there for Jaden Daniels and this team. I just was really heartbroken for him. I felt like he played like as good as he could. He was really good in the game. He only had that interception towards the end of the game when it's desperation. He's like, fuck it, I'll just throw it up there. But apart from that, like he was just going well. I mean, he ran in that touchdown. And really he passed for one as well. I think Daniels played as well as he could, considering the circumstances. But as I said, about the Packers a couple weeks ago, when I was with Ian on the Overreaction show, special teams is goddamn important in this playoffs. Like, it is the most important when it comes to playoffs. And when the Packers fumbled their opening kickoff, I was going at them for that, because really that turned the momentum. That game to Philly like straight away. In this one, the Commanders, they fumbled that kickoff coming into halftime, like literally right before halftime. You're just gifting the Eagles a free score, gifting them some momentum going into the second half. And that really was where it killed it for me. I feel like that, and the fumble by De'Ami Brown felt like he could have got like 2 more yards there. We'll just save that for later, save that talk for later. But he could have got a couple more yards there. And really just, he fumbled that though. And really that was also a turning point. Just those fumbles, as he said, Ian, with Eckler as well, just made the task so hard. And then on the other side of the ball, Saquon was just killing it. So, it was just a tall order for the Commanders once all those turnovers started.
Yeah, I have to agree, really, because I mean, I did think it was coming the week before against Detroit, but credit to them, they found another gear to be able to put a lot of points in the board on for that game in Detroit. But it was just very clear that Detroit at the start of the year, they did look like they had a really good defense, and even after Aiden Hutchinson went down, they still looked like they were quite stable defensively. But it just looked like that last half of the season, or at least the last sort of month, they were falling apart. They had big games and where they were they were still winning by scoring a lot, but their defense was giving up 30 plus 40 plus points a game. So they ran into a brick wall with this Eagles team, and it's sort of not surprising with the Eagles. I mean, they're the most complete team in the NFC in terms of their talent top to bottom. There's not a level on this team where you go, it's a bit iffy. Quarterback's still pretty solid. Great running back, great O-line, good weapons. Defensively, they're phenomenal up front. They've made some adjustments at linebacker, and they've got an All-Pro out of it as well, which is crazy. They've got rookies on the back end now who have come through for them. Heaps like Cooper DeJean is a really good player. He's all over the field. Quinion Mitchell. So it really was meant to be for the Eagles this year, I suppose, for coming out of the NFC. But for the Commanders, the third most cap space coming into the off season, $90 million. So I'm going to splash a lot of cash, and they've got another 3 years for a cheap deal with Jaden Daniels. So could be back. It's a tough division. Philly stays the course, but the Giants and the Cowboys, I know Brad will be listening, probably taking a back seat for a while for both of those teams. But there's definitely some chances for Washington to splash some cash and get really close to Philly next year, I feel.
Yeah, it was a very interesting run there for Washington, because I mean, you expect like the team, like they just literally had signed Zach Ertz and Austin Eckler, and everyone's like, all right, these guys are like washed, they're like over 30. These guys are sort of over the hill gang, sort of from very old school 70s reference there to those old Washington teams that used to sign like a lot of old players when they had George Allen as head coach. So like really obscure football reference there for everyone. But they're sort of over the hill gang in some ways with their free agent signings this year. And yet those guys really turned up. I mean, Zach Ertz, shout out to Zach Ertz. We'll get onto that later as well. But he had a great game himself. I mean, Eckler had that fumble, but he was getting catches. He was getting the work this whole season. I think just Jaden Daniels, it's an outstanding job by a rookie quarterback. I remember week 3. I mean, I sent it that reaction to you boys on GG. I was like, Jaden Daniels will be the greatest rookie quarterback. I remember you guys were like, MANJOT, you should have stopped before the last 3 words. I'm like, of all time. And I feel like now it looks a lot better than it did in week 3. But, yeah, he just has one of those out of the world rookie seasons. It was just incredible. I'm not sure where he ranks in terms of all time compared to some of the other guys, but really he did a great job, like just the whole season. And I think Washington has found their guy. They have restored a lot of pride in their jersey again as well with this run. Like Dan Snyder fucked that team so hard. Like that guy. Yeah. I was looking at it during the week as well. He said he fucking hates like seeing them win now. And good. I just love seeing him suffer after what he's put Washington fans through with his 25 years of shit ownership. Just to see him suffer, watching them succeed, it's just great. I feel like the fan base really deserves it. They'll be back in the future years, and I'm just really happy for them, like to have this great run, restore pride in the Commanders' name, just restore pride in that jersey. Now people like Commanders fans are now just they can be happy to be Commanders fans again. Like there is something to look forward to, rather than your stadium like has the shittest grass and pour shit onto your fans and that sort of shit. Like they don't have to read those headlines anymore. Josh Harris, he's really cleaned up there. Those guys have really cleaned up what they've done, and I think it's really shown on the field now what this new ownership group has done. So well done to Washington there. And for Philly, I will point out an underrated contributor as well. On the special teams, again, I like to say special teams, very important to playoffs. I know from experience as well. Special teams, I think you got to give a shout out to Will Shipley, the backup running back. He had that big run towards the end of the game, 77 yards on the ground. He also forced that fumble I was talking about on the kickoff. Big game, big contribution from small-time player. Love headlines going to Saquon Barkley, rightly so. I mean, he was just killing it on the ground. Washington could stop him all day. But their backup running back, Will Shipley, their fourth-string running back, he had something out of nothing. It was just incredible performance from him. So got to give him a shout out for that underrated contribution.
And I mean, I think if you come into the playoffs and go, hey, by the way, the Eagles are going to be playing at home against a rookie quarterback in the championship game, you go, well, that'll be a blowout. And it was. And it's kind of funny looking back now at how many people are surprised about how that game turned out. When it's like, well, no, like the Commanders played 2 Super Bowls in a row. And to get them to play a third against easily the best team they were going to face, I wasn't particularly surprised. And I think MANJOT and I were very fast to sort of jump on the. It's not going to be close. We're calling sort of on the pointier end of 2 scores. Both of us were pretty strident about the margin of victory. But I do think that it was good to see a few people were happy to throw their neck out from our group. And I mean, those people are Isaac and Ian, who both sort of said, hey, well, what if the Commanders do it again? What if they do? And I like that as a group, there were people who were bold enough to take that position. I just wasn't bold enough to do it. But when you look back at it now and you go, okay, so Hurts rushes in 3 touchdowns, Saquon rushes in 3 touchdowns, they demolish him by 1,050,000, and you go, well, yeah, fair enough. They're playing a rookie quarterback in his first ever playoff streak. And of course, this team is probably the only team in the league who looks like they're much chance at stopping a Kansas City team who've been on a roll. And I'm actually really glad, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, I'm actually really glad it's the Eagles who've come out of the NFC.
Yeah, Matty. in my analysis too, though, when I stuck my neck out, I said that Dan Quinn's defense needed to dare themselves to stop Saquon Barkley and force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball, and they didn't stop. Shock horror, they didn't stop Saquon Barkley because he's just the nature of Saquon is irrepressible, it would seem. So
it's a monkey magic reference.
That's right. but Jalen Hurts has admitted that he shook off his straitjacket. So it feels like they've been sort of holding him back. He shook off his straitjacket and spun the ball. And boy, did he spin the ball. When the 20 and 28 that he did in 246 yards were just amazing. His three scores, his 3 touchdowns, his rushing touchdowns were mostly short line, goal line stuff like they usually are. Of course, there was that one debacle, like the longest 4th down in history. But that was absolutely ridiculous, that whole scenario and everything that went on there. But big props to the Commanders for trying something against the tush push because no one else has been brave enough to do it. But just watching him throw the ball, he did it. And I said he needs to do it. They need to dare him to do it. They need to push him to do it, and he did it. And the end result is he did it. And who else showed up that we said hadn't showed up all year? AJ Brown. None other than book reader AJ Brown gets 96 yards, and Dallas got it with another 85. So these guys were the beneficiary of the fact that Jalen Hurts finally threw the ball. And when you look at that and you push that forward into that Chiefs game, as you said, Matty, with the defense with the defense that they've got, like Nick has outlined, wow. This team, they look like one of the most complete teams up against, the story that is the Chiefs.
It's not going to be 73 points in the Super Bowl this time. That's going to, and I think that's the way that will stay a good game. And if one team I think is going to score a lot of points, I'm not sure I'm putting my bucks on the Chiefs running up 30 odd first. You know what I mean? I think it's two same teams, completely different flavor.
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know.
No, I would.
Interesting after this week.
If it was a first to 20 or a first to 30 point bet, I'd be hammering the Eagles. I'm going to check that if there is, to be honest.
Yeah, if you get a first,
because I feel like that is going to be the case, and that's where we're going to end up. So it's going to be amazing.
All right. So this was a tight, intense game in the end. A real classic in Kansas City because the Chiefs, they edge out Buffalo in the AFC Championship game, proving once again that when it comes to big moments, they just find a way in whatever way they do, whether it's annoyingly good at stopping something or just finding the right person in a coverage breakdown at the moment you think that they're finally hitting a defensive wall. But here we go. A handful of game-changing plays makes the difference, and now it's the Chiefs heading back to the Super Bowl. Some key moments, some turning points, and how Kansas got it done. I'm looking to Nick Cosme first. Mate, you're pretty vocal about how you felt that this game went down because it was tight and tense. Give us your impressions.
It pretty much has gone the way that all the playoff games between these two teams have been. Josh Allen, for 90% of the game, plays out of his skin. You look at the Chiefs, then the Chiefs come up in just good spots. They hang around. They, pick up important first downs. And then in the end, the difference to me just feels like it comes down to coaching. Like I look at, Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo compared to what Sean McDermott was doing. And it was pretty clear. And this is something that the Bills had been doing all year was trying to emulate the Eagles' effectiveness with the tush push. And I feel like their short game was so heavily reliant on that the Chiefs just found that wrinkle and just went, all right, they're going left each time. Let's make it work. And that's how that controversial 4th down, came about. The biggest thing for me, again, as I said before, as I said, Josh Allen, 90% of the game. Well, the last 2 years, look at this game here. Under 4 minutes left, all timeouts, 6 plays for 17 yards. The year before, they had the ball back. They were down by 3 at home that time. And, again, with 6 minutes left, had the ability to be able to drain the clock as much as they could. They weren't able to do it. So it was just back to back years of the Bills just getting to a point where they had stuff working, and I don't understand. There's a little bit of the 49ers side of me coming out. I don't understand why they didn't go back to the run game with James Cook. Like, the guy had a monster game, and he got that first down on that last drive that they had that was within the 4 minutes. He got that first down. They never went back to him again. They found themselves in 3rd and 10. Then they had I can't remember who got the reception for the 5-yarder that set them up for the 4th and 5. Then they had the heroic play of the 4th and 5 where it was almost completed, and Kincaid could have maybe got underneath it, but a bit tricky sort of catch to make. Yeah. But it just felt like that sort of drive was sort of mismanaged, and they easily could have just I feel used James Cook a bit more, forced the Chiefs to really come up, which would have opened them up a bit more. Instead, they just went straight to the passing game. And then it's sort of just like Sean McDermott said after the game. It was like, we're just going to give them, we're just going to trust Josh Allen. We're just going to, make it work. Like, I know that, and this is the difference, I think, between the Bills and the Chiefs in recent years. But, if Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the game, and, he can make stuff up on the fly and make plays. But Andy Reid never just goes, you know what, we're going to put it all on Patrick. Everything, he's going to do sneaks and everything. You've seen games where Juju Smith-Schuster's making a big play. Kadarius Toney's making a big play. All these different players getting involved. P. Ryan, how many games has he played? How many snaps? He was the third choice back. He had the game-winning play for the first down. So it just feels like, in the end, a bit of coaching, but I feel like it was coached sort of back into Josh Allen to, okay, put on the cape, take us there, instead of, James Cook had such a good game, trust him, like, drain the clock, give him the opportunity. Give Josh Allen the opportunity to really drain the clock, and, don't give Mahomes the last possession. Like, that's the worst thing you can do in a one-score game. So, bit of clock management. It has been, I've said it on previous shows before with G'day Gridiron, that, Sean McDermott's clock management hasn't been that great. And I think a lot of the story has been about the refs. Fairly so. But like that 4th down and the Worthy, it did hit the ground. But I think at the end of the day, like, it would have, all the past would have led to it being a one-score game anyway. And like we've seen in recent years, it's just a case of, who's better equipped for the moment and who's just trying stuff that's, isn't just working, just going away from what's working. And it's, unfortunately for the Bills, it's happened again. But it'd be interesting to see how they sort of adapt and eventually go to it next year.
Do you think that's a Bills thing, or do you think that's a Chiefs thing? That the Chiefs push you off what you're doing late in the game because they just handle the pressure better, or is that like a Bills thing of being like, we just need to scramble and we don't know what better to do than put it on Josh? Like, how do you see that?
I think it's a huge KC thing, and their defense especially. Like, there's a huge story out there that Spags got into his bag. When they were reviewing the tape, some of the guys on the team on the defensive side noticed that whenever Josh Allen does a sneak, he goes for the left tackle gap. Like, and that's the Chiefs pushing them off. Like, you can't. If you've got to tell, like Nick was saying, and you've got to tell, and you do that every time, you get someone as experienced as Steve Spagnuolo, and he is going to exploit the hell out of that one weakness. Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about with coaching before. I don't know who said it, but it was after the game. Literally, they had asked Andy Reid about Mahomes being on the move a bit more and stuff that was specifically drawn up, and they said, well, that play, the bootleg, the naked bootleg where he just went for a first down, we literally stole that from last week with the Ravens. It's like, So, but to your point, Matty, I think it's a bit of both. And I'll give an example. I'll take you back to, if you remember the game where they played the Rams and they fell short. Remember where they had that sort of, they went to run it. They were 3 yards from the goal line. They went to run it. They got short, and they didn't take it. They were forced to take that timeout. And so in the end, when the Rams got the ball back, because they had the 2 timeouts, it's a lot easier for them to be able to. It's just little things like that about the clock management. And I just think when you come up against a team that, well, they are a dynasty now, you have to play near perfect ball. it has to be near perfect. And the Eagles are going to have to go through that in a couple of weeks. Special teams, as Manjot explained the importance, defense and offense. Offense and special teams for them, the last time they played in the Super Bowl was pretty much as good as it can get. But, again, once it gets to about 7-8 minutes, you've got to figure out, okay, how does our quarterback have the ball last? Because that is now the only way you can beat Mahomes in these games. I mean, the guy's like 74, 73% in one-score games. Like, you can't allow him, at least if your team has it. So if Jalen Hurts has it in 2 weeks and doesn't, get the job done, you live and die by it. But it's much better than Mahomes coming through. It's a 3/4 chance. You can't do it. Teams have to learn.
I said it a couple of weeks ago too, and I don't know, you guys sort of just shit-canned me at the time when I said it. You can't keep relying on Josh Allen in these short yardage situations and just keep pushing him, right. Because this shit happens. This shit happens. They figure it out, and once you take that away, all of a sudden you've got nothing. And Nick, I think you're exactly right. And they should have just kept pushing into Cook. He had such a great game, and instead of trying to go from that failed third down. That we had to who was it? Dalton Kincaid, like where the knee was down. We now know from replays that it looks like he was pretty close to that line. And then that fourth down one, the big controversial one that's out there at the moment with Josh Allen, that fourth down and that third down. Why are you going to those two players? Run the shit out of that ball with James Cook. Get hammer that first down, and then hammer that line, get that first down, and eat clock. And all he had to do was go straight up the middle, make sure he's in the field, get down, eat that clock. Just do it again. And as you say, Nick, don't put the ball into Mahomes' head with anywhere less than about 5 seconds to make a play.
Preach.
And I'll give you another leg to the coaching example, right? So look at the Chiefs and the range of stuff that they had brought out for this conference game, right? They unloaded the clip on this playbook because they knew they got 2 weeks off. Andy Reid on a bye, they'll come up with new stuff. They emptied the clip on so much stuff. They made changes. They did wrinkles. They've been trying stuff the whole year. Xavier Worthy was someone that was just sort of used for certain spots. They weren't sure about him. Even when he got drafted, teams weren't sure because he's 165 pounds. He's quite skinny.
And a little dude. So I'm almost that.
and literally, it was just like you come to this game, and he was the best receiver on the park, and it's just stuff like that,
and fun to watch
compared to the Bills. You look at the Bills; they built their whole game around running the ball. They built it around running the ball. What I don't understand is that they went, okay, now Josh Allen, put on the cape. We'll just make some stuff on the fly and just make it work. And another thing is that how, and I get the Eagles are the only team that can do it effectively, but why on earth was he going over the top? Like that could have easily been. It was so weird because all the
lucky to hold on to that
were lost. Yeah, they all got recovered by the Bills, which is uncanny because that shouldn't be happening.
No.
But
nobody's talking about how that's such good luck though, because they didn't win the game, right?
Yeah,
Mahomes. I mean. Oh my god.
So it was just for me. It come down to coaching. So I think the Bills are awkwardly in a weird spot because you don't fire Sean McDermott, but I just feel that when it comes to things like this, and it's happened a few times now, it really does become apparent that it is more so a coaching thing. I know I said before about Josh Allen, 4 minutes left, 6 plays for 17 yards. But sometimes that's got to come into, what's the coaching behind this? The Chiefs, went all over the field offensively, and Sean McDermott's side of the ball is defensively. So, I suppose, there has to be questions asked of him.
Yeah. Manjot, you've been suspiciously quiet. You get in there and rip it into it. Mate.
I just been enjoying listening to Nick. I mean, he's broken this game down very well. I mean, I would have to say, for me, the big plays when it came down to big moments, as said Nick with coaching, I think Steve Spagnuolo never gets talked about enough. I mean, he dials up that blitz on the fourth down when Allen throws that prior to to Kincaid. It was very
Corner
interesting
blitz
because
too. Oh,
yeah, because on that play there were two receivers wide open too. So you had Shakir. He was wide open on the orbit route that they always get him on. So that's like a go-to play for the Bills. So they could have gone to that. But Kincaid was also wide open. And Allen just threw like quite a good ball. Kincaid just had to dive to get it. So just show you the pressure they were under. And I think that really just got to Josh Allen in the end. And Spagnuolo, just those sort of blitzes at the right time, finding all these little different things with the QB sneaks. It was definitely a masterclass. And KC scored over 30 points in this as well. First time all season, regular season and postseason, that they've scored over 30, which was also important to note because it just shows like just the way like their offense is starting to get a little bit hot now. It's a bit of a scary proposition there for the Eagles in a couple of weeks because I think with the way if they're starting to score 30 points and they're starting to defend like that, then yeah, at the most important time, you can expect them to make play on both sides of the ball. I think, yeah, it's definitely very interesting. To think about the Bills as well with the coaching situation. I think McDermott, I haven't been a big fan of him either, Nick, to be honest. Like, I think he's been more carried by Allen than anything. I mean, I get like he's helped this team rebuild throughout like tough times, but I don't know if he is the coach to bring them over the hump because they haven't made a Super Bowl. They've won so many games in the last 5 seasons. They won the most. I think they've won the most playoff games in like a 5-season stretch and not gone to a Super Bowl. Like that's insane. Just they've won so many playoff games, won so many games in the regular season, haven't even been to a Super Bowl. It's just that hard. And I was seeing like a tweet this week saying that we could have a whole AFC Hall of Fame without a Super Bowl win. And really that could be true because Mahomes, I mean, incredible record now. He's 7 seasons in. He's been to 5 Super Bowls. His worst finish has been 2 AFC Championship game losses. Like, that's just an incredible stretch just to think about. I mean, even Tom Brady wasn't doing that, like, when he was playing. I mean, I think he missed the playoffs in his second season starting Brady. So, like, in 2002, that was when he went 8-8. So that just shows you how rare this is to watch Mahomes. I think a lot of us, like, I can appreciate the greatness, but at the same time, I do hate it. I have to put that one out there. Like, I mean, I think there's a lot of dynasty fatigue for sure. That's why we're all hating on the Chiefs right now, because we literally went from the Patriots dynasty of 20 years to immediately we're going straight into a Chiefs dynasty. Like, I saw, again, another meme for the Bills. Like, it was like they had 4 Super Bowl losses in a row. Then they had to face Tom Brady for so long. And then when they finally get good, like, the Chiefs they just become good. They're the dynasty.
Yeah,
but
it was basically that the Bills spent 20 years losing to the Patriots, then blew the whole thing up, got Allen, and now they've spent the entire time losing to the Chiefs. Like that's what happened in their recent past. Like it's
25 years right there.
it's an insanely like bad luck run. And I did see something on that too, Manjot. A few things like these. I mentioned it with Brad. Just these funny curses and stuff that we're sort of diving into now, where it's like the Bills are forever cursed to lose to the Chiefs because they gave up that pick where the Chiefs chose Mahomes. So they gave that pick up, or they traded it away to the Chiefs.
Worthy now.
The Chiefs picked Mahomes, and then now they are, every time they meet up together, they are forever doomed to lose to the Chiefs because of that curse. Like it's just funny.
Just back from before. Are you saying that at the moment Josh Allen would be a Hall of Famer?
I mean, the way, like, you look at these AFC quarterbacks, I mean, there's definitely a lot of Hall of Fame talent there. Like Lamar, obviously 3 MVPs. If we're thinking he's going to win it next week, yeah, I think he's probably got that in the bag. So 3 MVPs for Lamar, he's definitely locked for Hall of Fame. Josh Allen, I think he's a Hall of Famer too. Based on
Really?
talent, I think based on talent, he's got Hall of Fame talent. He needs to build a resume, obviously. Like this is all about resume building at this point for Hall of Fame. Like you got like these guys are still like 7, 8 years into their careers. So there's still another 10 years to build a resume. But I think him, even Burrow as well, you could put up. Those three are like sort of the big three chasing Mahomes.
Burrow.
I think all three
I
of
think
them
you could
could
Burrow
be
in there,
Hall of
and I think
Fame-
at the moment
Hall
Josh
of Fame
Allen's just looking
talent.
like Phillip Rivers.
In terms of talent, I think there's Hall of Fame talent. Obviously, like they can't make Hall of Fame right now if they retire today. Like that's obvious. They don't have the
Right,
resume.
okay.
But I think one day they can definitely. There definitely could be a case where you have like a bunch of Hall of Fame quarterbacks in this league right now that are playing, and then none of them get a Super Bowl because Mahomes won all of them, or Brady won like all of them before that. Like
Drake May
that's-
starts a dynasty in New England.
Yeah, gosh, God, no,
Bo
please.
Nix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bo Nix dynasty. Fucking look out, mate. So
Yeah, look
Yeah.
at them Pro Bowl
I
quarterbacks.
mean, the problem with
am I right?
Burrow and
I
Allen
don't-
now is they're too far into their career to start trying to win now because they're too expensive.
I don't know,
Yeah.
mate. I don't know about Josh Allen in the Hall of Fame, and I get why people would think that. And I get why you
I
think
think he's
that.
going to have a hard time.
I do
It's
too.
just-
I mentioned it with Brad the other night. I think Josh Allen is this generation's Dan Marino, and that's just the way it is. And until
Which
he
is fine,
wins,
'cause Marino deserved to be in there.
yeah, and he is. Like it wasn't until
Yeah.
2005. It took so bloody long, but Josh Allen only has. Can you believe in all of Josh Allen's careers and all this talking we have about Josh Allen and the Bills and just how great they are as a team and him as a great player? Only 2 Pro Bowls and no first team All Pro selections. The guy,
That's exactly. Yeah.
the guy was
Yeah.
neck and neck with Lamar for most of the season in the MVP race. Didn't even get in the top 5 mentions, like the top 5 of the Offensive Player of the Year award. Like he's not even nominated in the top 5 nominations for the Offensive Player of the Year, but he was neck and neck with Lamar for MVP. I don't understand how that works, but it's people are either picking him for that or not picking him at all. It's such a weird thing, and I feel like he'll be a Marino, and it's unfortunate. Like, and that's the other thing I talked about with Brad too. Like, it's the era that we're in. Basically, it's the era, and we're so fortunate as fans to be in this era. Lamar, Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Hurts.
Oh,
You
there's
can
20 good quarterbacks.
yeah.
And then the next 5 after that aren't horrible either. Like, we're pretty blessed. Like, you got to get down to the ain't no Connells. Like,
But-
there's going to be them in the league. But, I mean,
And the
that's where you got to get to.
And the shit thing is in all of these guys' career tracks, which could be like 10 years, could be 15 years these days in the league. You don't know, like some of them could play to they're 47, 48 years old. But there's only a finite amount of Super Bowls that you can win. And
That's
Mahomes has already got how many?
3.
He's already got 3.
That's right. Out of all that
Yeah.
finite amount that all these guys in that one group that are basically all in there together and entered the league almost together in consecutive years for some of them. But yeah, like he's already got 3. He's going for 4. He's been to so many. Like it's just so hard. And the unfortunate part is some of these great names, like Lamar Jackson, like Josh Allen, like Joe Burrow, could go their entire careers without winning a Super Bowl now.
Yeah. And I think as well, like one
Good
thing
point.
I was thinking about during the week as well, Matty, you're going to love me for this, but there's always a good time to talk about Peyton Manning, of course. We always got to talk about Peyton Manning. I feel
I
like
wish he was my
basically-
dad. I love that man.
Yeah, love that guy. But
I wish he was
always
my
good
dad.
time to talk about Peyton. And honestly, I feel like the one guy that this league really misses right now is Peyton Manning. I mean, the facts speak for themselves. Ever since Peyton Manning retired, Tom Brady, he won, 3 Super Bowls? And then Mahomes won 3 Super Bowls, maybe 4 in 10 seasons. So that's just pretty damning. Like Manning was holding this league together. That's all I got to say, Matty. That's all I got to say. That's my mic drop moment.
And then the wrong Manning won too as well. And that guy's, fuck, I hope he doesn't have the Hall of Fame because that will stop it being the Hall of Fame and start it being the Hall of pretty good. And I think I'll cheapen the whole thing just because he
I will say though,
rear-ended his
I will
asshole
say-
into 2 Super Bowls. It's not right.
I will say though, right now, I would rather have Eli Manning in the Hall of Fame than Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
like,
Eli Manning,
I think if
to
it's
his
going to the
credit,
head, you got to choose both. Shoot. Oh my god.
because Eli Manning, I will say, compared to Josh Allen, I mean, Josh Allen has a good playoff games, but this guy was the complete opposite between regular season and postseason. Like when he went on two of those
you never
runs,
know. He
to
was
win
never in
those
the
Super
fucking
Bowls.
postseason, Nick.
Oh well, when he was in there, he made some big trips. Went
Yeah.
to Lambeau, beat Aaron Rodgers. Beat Seattle at some stage, beat us like at some stage
Yeah.
He
too.
put up a whopping
So he had
17
a couple
points in one of those Super Bowl wins. Like he's dynamic as fuck. Like,
That was more. That
at
was
what point
more
are
than
we
what
going to
Brady did,
remember that Eli Manning is at best an average quarterback? At what point?
and that was more than what Tom Brady did with Randy Moss, and they were coming in undefeated to that point.
Well,
I'm
count
just
all his
saying.
rings. I mean, yeah, he's great. He's a fantastic quarterback. What can I say? Eli Manning. I don't
saying
know.
if I had to
We
choose.
need to acknowledge he's not a good quarterback. He just has 2 rings, and it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense that Eli has them. He won 2 Super Bowl MVPs, being the 7th best player on his offense. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, the Manning family were just really the guys who were stopping Brady, and Nick Foles, obviously, that one year. But the Manning family, ever since those two retired, I swear, like, the league just misses them more and more every day because they're the dynasty stoppers. They're like a family dynasty in themselves, but they're sort of the dynasty stoppers in the way they just were able to stop Brady. And then, like, ever since Peyton retired, and Eli was sort of on the decline then anyway. But Peyton retired, and now you've had like Brady and Mahomes just take over the league. I feel like you just miss Peyton more and more every day if you're a guy like me or Matty. That's just all I'm saying. Peyton was holding the league together. I know this is probably sounding like more of a joke than anything, but I could be serious though with that because I feel like the stats speak for themselves. Peyton was just the right adversary, and the rest of these guys, there's no Peyton Manning right now. Where is
the commissioner? I say, make him commissioner.
We need a Peyton to step up in this league, and there's no Peyton at the moment.
Sean Payton is the one.
Yeah, Sean Payton. Okay, there you go.
Wrong Peyton. Wrong Peyton.
My eldest daughter's named Peyton, and I reckon she would be a better candidate. So there you go.
Matty, you're gonna. I can't wait to see how disappointed you are when the Hall of Fame is actually announced this year.
It's gonna be so shit. It's gonna be so shit.
Because considering Eli is a finalist against Luke Kuechly, Terrell Suggs, Antonio Gates, Adam Vinatieri.
All of them first.
So how many get through? So how many get through? 3?
Yeah.
Something like that.
No, it's between
Marshall
5
Yanda.
and 7. Yeah, it's between 5 and 7 guys.
Again, Yanda.
I think
yes. Great
player.
player.
Kuechly definitely gets in.
Kuechly gets
Marshall
in.
Yanda has to get in.
Suggs
He was
gets
a
in.
goat on Madden. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna be
Sorry, Nick.
disappointed.
I didn't mean to diss the entire guard position, saying that I didn't knew about offensive guards on Madden. But yeah, Marshall Yanda was pretty good on Madden. That's all I got to say.
You're playing too much flag football. You don't know what it's like to not getting hit, so you don't know what it's like.
Here's some more for you. Here's some more names for you. Jared Allen, Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, Willie Anderson,
Reggie Wayne,
Jeriah Evans.
Torrey Holt's got to go in before any receiver. I have to put that one out there too. If we're talking Hall of Fame like finalists, I think like in terms of receivers, there's always a logjam there, Matty, as well. I mean, like Reggie Wayne's definitely a guy up there, but I think Torrey Holt has to go in first because I mean he has the Hall of Fame resume, and then I mean I'd put him in there because he's
the only show on turf guy who's not there too, right? So.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, though, having Luke Kuechly and Jared Allen in there in the 1 year is criminal. One of those guys is going to miss out for sure.
Oh, you got to put Luke in first ballot, I reckon. Like this is the first.
But Eli's going in. You know he's going in. It's the Manning family name.
Yeah, that's it. It's the name discount. It's not the talent.
It's the Manning Hall of Fame, mate.
So Arch has already got a leg up when he comes in.
I think so. Don't you?
As soon as Arch hits NFL, he's in.
Yeah.
If he plays 16 seasons and makes the playoffs in half of them and rear ends his way into a title like Eli did, fucking oath. He'll go in. Got the right name.
Right, Matty, how did we pick this game? How did we fare? How did everyone fare?
Oh, okay. So this is one which really divided us because there were 7 of us, and in a 29-32 game, which is essentially a coin flip, it's great that we were so divided. But Brad and yourself, Ian and Manjot, all threw it on the Bills, and I mean, this is how close it was. You almost got away with it, and then so Taylor and Isaac and Nick and myself, we stuck with the Chiefs. So it was 4-3. No one got any correct scores at this point through the playoffs. So we need Manjot to break the curse in the Super Bowl like he did 2 years ago when he picked the right score the last time the Chiefs played the Eagles. Let's give a quick scoreboard update on how we're all tipping as a group too, because, young Bradley has got 8 of the games in this playoffs he's selected correctly. Taylor's in second with 7, and I've got 6. Manjot's also got 6. And then Nick 5. And you've gone for the roughies the most and come up with 4, but I like what you're trying to do there, mate.
That's my play, mate. That's what I do.
Do you want a quick look at how we went with the multi this week as well?
Yeah, I was just tallying up who won and who lost. So let's get. There's a few winners. We got a couple of winners out of our 7.
We did
leg multi.
7-leg multi in 2 games.
Leg multi. So the 2 winners out of that were Brad had Terry McLaurin for plus 64.5. Terry had a great game, and we knew Scary Terry would have a good game, regardless of anything else. Matty, my God, Matty. I should have got a soundbite for this one, Matty. You said Kareem Hunt. You ended on Kareem Hunt anytime TD.
Yeah.
Great win. Yeah, easy, no problem.
That's where I finished. That's
where you finished.
Kareem Hunt
started musing over whether you should pick Kareem Hunt as first touchdown scorer. And who was the first touchdown scorer, Matty?
Yeah, it was big fat Kareem Hunt. So there you go.
Holy shit. Matty was on an absolute heater. Like you said it, we have to pay that.
I almost did the same the week before with the first touchdown in the week before as well. I can't remember who it was.
Bateman.
It was Rashad Bateman. That's right. He was first touchdown scorer as well, even though I went anytime for like $2.85 on an anytime. He was like $14 as the first. Oh, mate, I could have been just buying small islands in the Caribbean.
So, Nick, from whatever happens here, if Matty picks someone for anytime TD in the Super Bowl, I think we should put Matty on first TD scorer.
100%.
Put 20 cents on.
It's like hitting the lotto. Yeah. Even 20 cents, mate.
Matty's not just got the lotto numbers, he's got the sups as well.
I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, big time.
You guys are very disappointed, like Ian starts of the weeks.
Yeah.
Is this the Brad sell your cars for the Matty's anytime touchdown being a first touchdown with selling the car here?
Well, now I've got 7 days to overthink this before we make our bets next week. Thanks, guys.
This is Matty's sell your running shoes.
Yeah. 100%. I've got tons of them.
Let's run through
that. Right.
Let's run through the losers because there was 5 of us that lost. Nick had Travis Kelce plus 6.5 receptions. That was, Nick, and I should have brought this up just a little bit earlier before we went off on a tangent. You know what I loved about the game from KC is that they purposely didn't use Travis Kelce as a receiver. There were so many times where Andy Reid had both Travis Kelce and Noah Gray out there in 12 personnel as blockers for that line, and they did amazingly well. It's so good. It was so good to watch. It was like a traditional tight end game. That's what that was. So good. He didn't get 6.5 receptions because of that. Taylor had Austin Eckler for 2.5 receptions. Oh my God. Austin Eckler.
Definitely had the half.
Well, Austin Eckler, man. That just didn't go down. I can't remember actually how many receptions he had. I didn't look that part up.
Was it his second that he got up and had it knocked out? Was that his second reception? I think it was. I was trying to keep a track live of who had how many stats.
Oh, what? No, that's a win. I'm just looking at what's going on.
Yeah, no, that's a win. I was going to say he had 5 receptions.
5?
He got
that
5
was a
receptions.
multi-builder. Yeah.
That was a multi-builder. You know where I got the data from, though? Oh, I missed it. Sorry. My bad, Taylor. I stand corrected, Taylor. I missed it on the thing. Taylor got a win. Because that was a multi-builder. My bad, Terry.
Our apologies, Taylor. We weren't familiar with your game.
I will take that loss.
Okay, crushing it.
Tay crushing it. Diami Brown plus 44.5 receiving yards.
Robbed.
Oh,
Robbed.
dicked.
Absolute dick.
42.
42.
42.
So
Ah.
close. Yeah.
That's what
so
I was
far,
saying in my recap. That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
If you
got it.
listening all the way
Absolutely
back
gutted,
then.
Manjot.
Yeah.
Gutted.
That fumble, if he gained like 3 more yards on that catch and not fumbled the ball, he would have actually got there. Just saying.
Fall forwards, he gets it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my data's incomplete here, and I'm going to have words with Sportsbet.
So we had
Because
Diami Brown, anytime touchdown, he didn't score as well. That
No.
was Isaac.
he didn't score. The one I'm
McLaurin got a
questioning
touchdown.
right now is I had Scary Terry
did.
for anytime
Yeah.
TD.
He did.
Yeah,
score.
he definitely got his
Oh.
He scored
touchdown.
on the slant route. Yeah. That was Jaden's one.
What a
passing
great
touchdown.
run, too. Just beautiful.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Who did I miss up? Oh, yeah, that's
That's
one.
a real
So,
Matty
yes.
C touchdown, that one, Manjot.
So,
By the way,
sorry,
I know there's not a lot of footage of Matty C running free like that, but jailbreak. that's
That's my sickness.
Really
I got those the wrong way around. Brad didn't get 64.5 yards. Brad
there you go.
lost out on that one. I got the anytime touchdown. So we were still 3 and 4 at the end of the day.
Nice job, guys.
My data was incomplete, but that's just me being sick. So yeah, good job.
Yeah,
Still not
bad.
Still not 7 from 7. That's what we need. That's what a multi is.
We're that close. Next week, we're going to blow it out of the park, guys.
We're going to do it next week.
We didn't
next
cash out.
week's
We
the
might have
week.
crashed out. But next week, guys, I'm telling you, next week.
Otherwise,
week's
we have
the
to
week.
start calling a parlay
Biggest one.
for Brad.
Yeah. Could you imagine if we have to suit to that and we have to move to like American betting numbers? Oh, he's plus 275 for this. What is it? I don't even think Brad knows what those things mean.
Nick, he doesn't actually.
He
Nick
didn't.
and I
He didn't.
went
Rosetta
through
Stone.
this.
He's our Rosetta Stone. And we got
We
He's
have
nothing.
to
actually-
explain it to the American how the American betting system works.
If we
Well,
did,
American
we
thing I've
did.
ever heard.
Because it
So that's
turns out
like,
it turns out Brad didn't do a lot of betting when he was in America.
And
But he's
It's
a
just
maths teacher.
it's a, no,
we
but
went
the
through it on the episode, and
the
and
Australian
we explained
influence.
how we do it, and he was just like, "Oh, that's so much easier." It's like, yeah, obviously.
Like the
Not
metric
worried
system.
about minus 400 and
Yeah.
whatever.
I was about to throw in the metric system joke there, Matty. But yes,
Oh,
that's like
sorry.
explaining. That's
Sorry.
like explaining miles to Brad. That's like explaining that to
No.
Brad.
Well, he didn't bet, Manjo. He didn't bet when
Yeah.
he lived in the
Yeah,
US.
he didn't
So it
bet.
turns
He
out
didn't
that Australia just corrupted him, and like that's
Well,
just
that
the way
sounds
we
right. Convict Nation
Yeah,
right
but-
here. Let's go.
are. Yeah, we're all criminals. So
100%.
we're all born from criminals
One
in
way or
one way or
another.
another.
In one way or
Sorry.
another.
It is
Either
what it is.
born
But that,
from or have been influenced by.
the American betting system is just another case of American and freedom units. That's all it is.
yeah.
All
Love
it
that.
is.
Love that.
Love that. Yeah.
Well, fellas, we've got a lot to look forward to next week because we're going to be all here from what we understand. We're expecting full house for the Super Bowl preview. And because we've got no game next week, there's no big overreactions thing to do. But then the fantasy game, Taylor always has something lined up for the fantasy game. I haven't run through, but I just want to quickly just give Manjot a quick round of applause because he had a really great week in the fantasy this week. We'll recap it in detail next week. But Manjot, do you want to quickly just throw a bit of crow in there? Have a crow?
Yeah, I know I'm probably going to be fucked with the Super Bowl, but I'm glad finally. I swear this must be, we've done this for 4 years, me, you, and Tay, Matty. And then, Ian joined us for like the last 3 years. And then we had Brad last year join us and Mark as well. And now, Nick and Isaac, first ever time we had 7 players on a draft, and to win a draft as big as that with only 4 teams, I've got to say I'm pretty damn proud of that. I mean, I was questioning a little bit taking Saquon over a quarterback, but damn right I did. I was happy with that. My boy Zach Ertz in the 4th round coming in clutch. Eagles defense getting a few takeaways. Really happy with that. And of course, that was just a setup for me. It's just I nailed all 4 picks, and like Taylor said, you gotta nail every pick to win. And I was pretty impressed with that. So I will probably take the L next week because I know a certain someone's gonna be taking the draft order. I won't spoil who it is, but a certain someone can absolutely dick me next week. So I'll take my win this week, and I pick me and Taylor a fuck next week. That's all I gotta say.
Just quietly, Matty, we gotta start petitioning like one of these big fantasy sites like Sleeper or maybe ESPN Fantasy or something to create this postseason game. We need these postseason leagues, like, so people aren't left in this desolate wasteland after fantasy finishes in week 17. Yeah,
at the moment we are your home for that.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we need to. It's too hard an app. Like, that's all I keep thinking is how we can do it on pen and paper like you've been doing. But I don't know. I just need a sleeper to come to the party and just go, we need a league, please.
I've got a full season to make this happen. So that mandate has been set in the Matty C. I'm going to work on it.
Because Matty, they used to have that on NFL.com, like the playoff challenge, where you could have you could set a team as like quarterback, like a full fantasy team, quarterback, couple running backs, couple wide receivers, tight end, flex, defense, kicker. But the thing was, because of the bye weeks and stuff back then as well, you had 2 teams on a bye in each conference. So you could start a player on a bye, and like every time their team would advance, their multiplier would increase. So say, this year you had a Chiefs player, for example, you start them in wildcard weekend, they'll score you nothing. But then in divisional, they'll score you 2 times. Then in the conference, they'll score you 3 times. And then in the Super Bowl, it'll be 4 times the score. So I used to play that quite a bit. I enjoyed that. I do think they need to bring that back. That and like the NFL.com Survivor. I know Sleeper brought that in. It was very fun playing Survivor against you guys this year. And then look, it was, I mean, like they had so many good features back then on NFL.com, like in their fantasy games. I just wanted to say, Matty, like they gotta bring those back too.
I want to be able to do what we do, get together with like 6 or 7 or 8 of your mates and do a draft every single week for a few players.
Draft a team of arsehole buckets. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Oh, anyway. So it is what it is. All right,
Matty, we
should get out of here.
Yes.
As you said.
I hope you're feeling better, Ian.
I'll be all right. I'll be fine. I won't die yet. So
good.
Yeah, I'm going away for the weekend. We'll be in the heat, so who knows?
Nice.
We'll see how we go.
Nice.
I'll come back red as the beetroot.
Been 700 degrees in Adelaide too. You two are the Heat brothers.
Yeah, we've got to play this week too in that heat. So
Nick's got to play in the heat. All I'm going to be doing is sitting by a racetrack, so I'll be fine.
This guy's got.
All right, let's get out of here. As always, you can catch everything to do with the Aussie Gridiron Network at our linktree /Aussie Gridiron Network. That's the links to all of our socials, every show ever from our podcast, MANJOT's Pastry Press NFL, where you can, this week, make sure you look out for the Pastry Performer Awards for 2024, which will be on YouTube. Yeah! MANJOT will 100% have that up, won't you, MANJOT?
Yes,
100%.
I will have that up 100%. There is a guarantee. So if you guys are missing out on our second show of the AGN playoff series, don't worry, I've got you guys on Sunday and Monday.
MANJOT has us covered for the week. So we will have listening for you and viewing, because he's going to do an amazing bit of video to go along with that. So check that out on YouTube. And apart from that, on behalf of Matty C, thank you for hosting this first bit, buddy. You've been amazing to me.
Been fun.
Nick and MANJOT for some amazing opinions and recaps tonight. See you later from all of us.
Hooroo.
Thank you, everyone.
The G'day Gridiron podcast is brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network, a network of Australian podcasts bringing the fun and a little bit of the Aussie larrikin to the NFL and fantasy football. Check out our other amazing productions. Australia's #1 fantasy football podcast, the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. Everything about the local game at Aussie Gridiron today. MANJOT's Pastry Press on Instagram and YouTube, and Australia's very own Dynasty podcast, No Huddle Dynasty. Find links to everything at linktree /Aussie Gridiron Network.